everyone, and welcome to my April Recent Reads wrap-up. I read some amazing books in April, including a brand new 5-star read, so let's talk about it. I'm going to start first with the Seanan McGuire encrypted book of the month, and that was Magic for Nothing, which is the 5th book in the series. And if you don't know what this series is about, it is about the Price family, who are essentially the Addams family if the Addams family were cryptozoologists. And this one specifically, without giving away any spoilers, is about Antimony, who is the youngest child of the Prices, and she is having to now infiltrate the Covenant, who are very much people who want to exterminate all of the cryptids after the events of the last book. And this one was so much fun. I love the carnival aspect of this one. I really love getting to know Antimony more, because up until now she's only really appeared a couple of times and has been mentioned a few times, and apart from that we haven't really gotten to know her at all. So it was really nice to get to know her in this one. I loved all of her references throughout here to the X-Men, because she is a big fan of the X-Men, so I loved that as an X-Men nerd myself, and I just had a really fun time with this one. I think Antimony is now my favourite of the Prices, apart from obviously Aunt Alice, who is my all-time favourite out of all of these characters, and this one was just a really fun time, and I cannot wait to continue on with it this month. Then I actually read a second Seanan McGuire book of the month, and that was Feed, which she has published under her horror pen name of Myra Grant. And this one was absolutely incredible, because this one is such a unique take on the zombie apocalypse. Because this one, obviously the zombie apocalypse has happened. It's happened about 20 years ago now, and the world has basically kind of not recovered. They are still very much within the zombie apocalypse. Zombies are still very much a thing, but people have kind of learnt to live with it. And what has actually happened as a consequence of that is that traditional news is not really a thing anymore, and a lot of people are following bloggers. And in this one we are following two bloggers as they are following a presidential candidate on the presidential election run, essentially, and it all goes from there. And this was so interesting, because usually when you have a zombie book or any kind of zombie media, you are dealing with the outbreak of zombies and people trying to survive it. And while that was very much in this book and there was a lot of zombie action and things like this was mainly actually focusing on the presidential election and the run up to it, and the role of bloggers in this and all of this kind of thing. And I found that absolutely fascinating, because it was such a unique take on the zombie apocalypse. Like, obviously I know there are books like World War Z, which I admittedly haven't read yet, that does also deal with like journalists and stuff throughout the zombie apocalypse, but this one felt so unique, and it really did not like pull its punches at all. There were several moments in this that I did not see coming. I was genuinely shocked at some of the things that happened in this book. I cannot be more specific in case you want to read this one, because I do feel like it packs more of a punch when you've got absolutely no idea what's coming in here. And I absolutely love this. I thought this was fantastic. The world of it, the entire idea of zombies and how they were created, this unique angle, it was incredible. I flew through this one. Just a quick note from editing me here, just to say that this book actually has a lot of sexism in here that I did not mention, and I really should have done that. But this book is very sexist and very misogynistic when it is talking about another one of the presidential candidates, who happens to be a woman and also happens to have a history in entertainment of a adult nature, shall we say, and it's very misogynistic in that way. And I forgot to mention that, but what I will say is that Seanan McGuire has since learnt from this and apologised for it, so I'm not going to mark this book down for it, because she has since learnt and done better and apologised for it, but I did want to flag it just in case you wanted to read this book yourself. I then read A Sorceress Comes to Call by T. Kingfisher, and this is a retelling of The Goose Girl, which is admittedly a story I don't really know that much about, but I did really love this book, and specifically I loved how creepy this was, because this was extremely creepy in places, especially with the relationship we had between our main characters of Evangeline and Cordelia. It definitely reminded me of Mother Gothel from Tangled in a lot of ways, which I really enjoyed. I also loved everything to do with Falada the horse as well. I thought that was wonderfully creepy as well. I loved all of those elements and everything else that made this book really creepy. But then I also really loved Hester as a main character. I adored her no no-nonsense attitude. I loved her scheming. I loved the life that she was living and all of her friends and everything else. And I just genuinely really love this book. And I definitely think T. Kingfisher is very quickly becoming a new favourite author because everything I've read from her so far has been amazing. And then the final one I have to mention before I go into a few of the comics I also read this month is The Ending Writes Itself by Evelyn Clark, aka V.E. Schwab and Kat Clark. And this one was so good, I could not put it down, and I read it in a day, which is not something I usually do. I think the last time I actually read a book in a day is when I read Gallant by V.E. Schwab, which was like 4 years ago now. I am not a book in a day kind of girl, but this one gripped me and I could not put it down until I found out what was going on, who the murderer was and everything else, because this was incredible. If you do not know what this story is about, it is following 5 writers who all get invited to this private island of this really rich and famous author, and it turns out that author has died and they have all been hired to essentially write the ending of that book in secret in exchange for a multi-million publication deal of their own work. And then suddenly people start dropping and people are getting murdered, and you've got to try and figure out who's doing the murdering, who's going to die next, all of this kind of thing. And I loved it. I am not usually someone who reads murder mysteries or anything else. I'm not someone who usually can follow these things along very easily because I usually get confused between the clues and who everybody is and everything else. But this one was so easy to read. I flew through it. It was so easy for me to follow along the clues and the characters and everything else, which I absolutely loved about this one because, like I said, I usually struggle with that, and I just adored every single second of this one. And now I want to read more murder mystery, so if you've got any recommendations, leave them down below, because apparently this is a genre I need to give a second chance to, because if they're all like this, I am going to love them. And then as for the comics I read this month, the first one is the latest one in the Doctor Strange series by Derek Landy. This specifically is issue 5, and again I had a really good time with this one. It's Derek Landy, it's Doctor Strange. I'm always going to absolutely love this one. I should also give a shout out to the artwork as well, because it looks like this on the inside and it is absolutely gorgeous, and I just loved every single second of reading this. I then also read all of these volumes of Daredevil by Chip Zdarsky, and these were a lot of fun as well, because this is all building up to the Devil's Reign event, which is when Fisk outlaws superheroes and vigilantes and all of the rest of it. But this actual run itself was absolutely amazing. I love seeing the fallout of Matt believing he may have accidentally killed someone as Daredevil and what that does to his psyche, and how all of the other heroes react. I loved all of that. I also really loved as well seeing Fisk on the back foot for once, because he's usually very much like the guy in charge, so I really enjoyed that element of it as well. And it was just a really fun run that I absolutely loved reading this month. And then finally, I also managed to read Kelly Thompson's Jessica Jones The Purple Daughter, and this was fantastic as well, because this is dealing with the fallout of Kilgrave and everything else he has done, which I really enjoyed. I love seeing the dynamic between Luke and Jessica throughout here, and this was just a really solid, really good Jessica Jones run that I really enjoyed reading this month. And those are just some of my favourite books I read in the month of April, so I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please do give me a thumbs up. Comment down below and tell me if you've got any murder mystery book recommendations. I would love to have them, because apparently I need to revisit this genre, because I think I've had my mind changed on it. So if you've got any recommendations, please leave them down below. Or if you don't have that much time, leave me a dagger emoji down below to let me know that you were here. I'll also leave a link as well down below to all my social media if you want to check it out, or if you just want to see any more of my videos, please click subscribe here, and over here will be the link to my previous video. But till next time everyone, bye!